PM unsurprised as U.S. indictment exposes Caribbean politicians. Complicity in Maduro's cocaine network. Predecessor predicts more respectable figures will be exposed as investigation unfolds. Prime Minister Kamala predecessor expressed no surprise at revelations in United States indictment of Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro that link Caribbean politicians to systematic cocaine trafficking operations, stating she expects many more respectable and celebrated figures across all sectors of society to be exposed as the investigation continues. The superseding indictment, unsealed by a U.S. federal grand jury in the Southern District of New York on Saturday, January 3rd, details extensive charges against Maduro and other high-ranking Venezuelan officials, alleging they orchestrated a sophisticated transnational cocaine trafficking network that corrupted politicians throughout the Caribbean region. Caribbean politicians paid for protection. The damning document claims that Caribbean politicians financially benefited from drug traffickers in exchange for protection from law enforcement, creating a culture of corruption that enabled massive cocaine flows through the region toward the United States. According to the indictment, Maduro and corrupt members of his regime established and maintained a system of corruption fueled by drug trafficking across multiple countries. Cocaine shipments through Honduras, Guatemala, Mexico, and the Caribbean were allegedly supported by systemic bribery, with traffickers paying off politicians who then used illicit funds to strengthen and entrench their political power. The indictment specifically identifies the Caribbean as a key transshipment route. So, too, were politicians along the Caribbean route corrupted by cocaine traffickers, who would pay them for protection from arrest and to allow favor traffickers to operate with impunity as they trafficked cocaine from Venezuela north towards the United States. Thus, at every step, relying on the producers in Colombia, the transporters and distributors in Venezuela, and recipients and redistributors on transshipment points north, the traffickers enriched themselves and their corrupt benefactors who protected and aided them, the indictment states. PM predicts more revelations. When asked for her reaction to the indictment's allegations about Caribbean political corruption, Prime Minister predecessor stated unequivocally, "I'm not surprised at all. As the story continues to unfold, I have no doubt that many respectable and celebrated people across all sectors of society will be exposed." While the indictment does not specifically name Trinidad and Tobago, it clearly identifies the Caribbean as a major corridor for cocaine allegedly trafficked by Maduro's network. The document notes that by around 2020, the U.S. State Department estimated that between 200 and 250 tons of cocaine were trafficked through Venezuela annually. Extensive criminal network charged. The charges extend far beyond Maduro himself to include several key figures in Venezuela's political and criminal hierarchy. Diosdado Cabello Rondon, Venezuela's Minister of Interior, Justice and Peace Ramon Rodriguez Chacon, former Justice Minister and ex-governor of Guarico State Celia Adela Flores de Maduro, Maduro's wife Nicolas Ernesto Maduro Guerra, Maduro's son, and National Assembly member Hector Rustenford Guerrero Flores, alleged leader of Tren de Aragua, a transnational criminal organization. Life sentences possible. The updated indictment significantly expands on charges first laid in 2020, adding substantial new evidence, additional defendants, including Maduro's wife, and documented links to international criminal networks operating throughout the Caribbean and Central America. Maduro faces 4 major counts, each carrying a potential life sentence. Narcoterrorism conspiracy, large-scale cocaine trafficking conspiracy into the United States, possession of machine guns and destructive devices conspiracy to use machine guns and destructive devices to support drug trafficking operations. Major escalation following capture. The indictment follows Maduro's capture during a U.S. military operation in Caracas, marking a dramatic escalation in the international pursuit of the Venezuelan leader and his alleged criminal network that has corrupted politicians, law enforcement, and institutions throughout the Caribbean region for years. The revelations about Caribbean political corruption come as Prime Minister predecessor's government has intensified cooperation with U.S. authorities to combat drug trafficking through Trinidad and Tobago, producing significant seizures and disruption of trafficking networks in recent months.